Today, I want to talk about caregiver guilt. And yeah, it is a real thing. And it's something that I had been struggling with ever since I had to make the decision to put my father in a facility 30 years ago. And it reared its ugly head again when my husband and I went to Hawaii earlier this year. But an out of body experience with a flight attendant helped change my perspective. If you're new here, hi, I'm Vicki. I have seen Rachel Wonderland's 16 Things I Would Want If I Get Dementia multiple times since National Family Caregivers Month kicked off on November 1st. And number 9 really has stuck with me. And let me read it to you.
If I get dementia, don't feel guilty if you cannot care for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not your fault, and you've done your best. Find someone who can help you, or choose a great new place for me to live.
And I'll share the rest of the list at the end of this video. But when I started my blog, I started off talking about dignity in caregiving and how making the choice to bring my dad home from the hospital, knowing that he was bedridden because he said he never wanted to go to a facility, that I thought that I was doing the right thing. Even though my aunt, a nurse, thought that my sister and I were crazy, we needed to send him to a facility, he was going to need too much care, and we wouldn't be able to give him what he needed, we still brought him home. And having to take care of him in that way broke his spirit. Having his daughter see him naked while we had to clean him up if he had an accident, us having to hand feed him, all that kind of broke his spirit. Yeah, he wanted to be home, but he didn't want to be home like that. And so we actually had to admit defeat and put him in a facility. And while he was happier and felt better, I still carried a lot of that guilt with me decades into my future because I felt like a failure. I felt like I made him a promise and I didn't keep it. Even though looking in his eyes, he didn't want me to keep that promise anymore. But for some reason, and I don't know if it is a female thing, but we feel like we have to do it all. And in that moment, I felt like, wow, I really let him down and I let myself down. But my aunt helped me see that was really the best thing. So now fast forward to taking care of my in-laws in 2023 and learning from that mistake. I told my husband we are not going to do the hands-on caregiving. We're going to leave them their dignity. And they have caregivers that do that type of work for them. So their children, their daughter-in-law doesn't have to see them in ways that they don't want to be seen. But the guilt crept back when we went to Hawaii earlier this year because even though I wasn't the hands on caregiver, I still felt it was my personal responsibility because I made a promise to my own mother that I would make sure that I acted as the daughter for Mill because she didn't have any daughters. And I took that responsibility personally. So even though we were leaving them, and even though everybody and their brother, the caregivers, the doctors, the PT, all had ways to contact us, and we had ways to book appointments or upload things or do whatever we needed to do, I still felt like crap leaving her alone in her home, surrounded by her stuff, with someone who was going to take care of her, someone who's fixing her meals, helping her bathe, helping her get dressed. And I walked onto that plane completely still, like, we shouldn't go. And so my husband is sitting there pleading with me to calm down, don't ruin our vacation, which actually wasn't just our vacation, it was our wedding anniversary, and saying, everything is covered, just let it go. So I'm sitting in my plane seat and I'm looking out the window as the plane is, loading up, and I'm just still feeling this little bit in my gut that maybe we shouldn't go. Nobody else can do it like me. Yeah, right. um, but there's nothing I can do. He let me off that plane. So the flight attendant starts the safety message. And, I've flown a million times. I've heard the safety message a lot. But I'm looking out the window of the plane. And then all of a sudden, she starts putting on the oxygen mask. And the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. And my face turned all on its own. And I'm staring at her demonstrating putting the oxygen mask on, and it was like we had an out of body experience together. It's like she no longer was looking straight at the folks on the plane down the aisle like they normally do. It's like she was looking straight at me and she was saying, "Girl, you better put this oxygen mask on because you have been without oxygen for decades. You better start breathing, girl, because you ain't gonna be no good to nobody." And for the very first time since I put my dad in a facility, I think I finally learned to relax. My shoulders went back down. I took a deep breath. That Mai Tai probably didn't hurt at all either, but we actually were able to go away and really enjoy ourselves. And the epiphany for me is I think we hold on to too much responsibility. We don't have to do it all. We do have people to help. And one of the things that I talked about in my 5 things I quit not asking for help. That was part of it, was this 2023 was the year, was the last thing that I said, I don't need to do it all by myself. I have the help. They're there. I need to accept it because I am of no good to Mill if I wear myself out. I'm no good to myself if I wear myself out, and I'm no good to my husband if I wear myself out. So if you suffer from caregiver guilt, first, you're not alone. There's probably a gazillion of us. But know this: taking care of yourself, taking a break, asking for help, and letting people actually help is not selfish. It's a necessity. We cannot take care of those we care about if we don't take care of ourselves. If you have any thoughts, questions, or want to share your own experiences, please leave them in the comments below.
As promised, here's the full list of Rachel Wonderland's 16 things I would want if I got dementia. If I get dementia, I want my friends and family to embrace my reality. If I think my spouse is still alive, or if I think we're visiting my parents for dinner, let me believe those things. I'll be much happier for it. If I get dementia, I don't want to be treated like a child. Talk to me like the adult that I am. If I get dementia, I still want to enjoy the things that I've always enjoyed. Help me find a way to exercise, read, and visit with my friends. If I get dementia, ask me to tell you a story from my past. If I get dementia and I become agitated, take the time to figure out what is bothering me. If I get dementia, treat me the way that you would want to be treated. If I get dementia, make sure that there are plenty of snacks for me in the house. Even now, if I don't eat, I get angry, and if I have dementia, I may have trouble explaining what I need. If I get dementia, don't talk about me as if I'm not in the room. If I get dementia, don't feel guilty if you cannot care for me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not your fault, and you've done your best. Find someone who can help you, or choose a great new place for me to live. If I get dementia and I live in a dementia care community, please visit me often. If I get dementia, don't act frustrated if I mix up names, events, or places. Take a deep breath. It's not my fault. If I get dementia, make sure I always have my favorite music playing within earshot. If I get dementia and I like to pick up items and carry them around, help me return those items to their original places. If I get dementia, don't exclude me from parties and family gatherings. If I get dementia, know that I still like receiving hugs or handshakes. If I get dementia, remember that I am still the person you know and love. If you made it this far with me, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.